The year I hit rock bottom, I wanted to break up with him but didn't have the guts. My only act of rebellion was poking 10 tiny holes in the condoms Justin asked me to bring him. But before his old flame could show up with a shotgun wedding announcement, I was the one who got pregnant. I ran into Justin and his supposed one that got away while I was at the hospital scheduling my abortion. He stared at the paperwork in my hand, his face darkening with rage. "Laura, when did I ever say I didn't want this baby?" I was speechless. The man's white lab coat had a name tag pinned to it. Dr. Bennett, head of urology. I pulled my black overcoat tighter, my face hidden behind a mask and sunglasses, and slipped out of the hospital like a thief, diving into my car in the underground garage. The second I called my best friend, Zoe, she asked, "Well?" The tears started streaming down my face. "The doctor said," he said. "Said what?" "You're killing me. He said there's a heartbeat and everything." Zoe gasped. "You're really pregnant?" I sniffled, a wave of despair washing over me. "Yeah. And there are 2 of them." "2?" She shrieked. "You're having twins?" "Oh my God, Laura. Maybe you should just tell him." "Tell him?" I felt lost. "Justin's so good to you, and you've been together for 3 years. What if he wants kids too? Besides, he's the father. He has a right to know." I started crying even harder. "He said he doesn't. I tested the waters last week. He told me if I was that bored, I should get a couple of dogs. The truth is, Justin and I had a business arrangement. The year I graduated from college, my dad got really sick. I was desperate for money, so I started working 2 jobs. By day, I was an assistant at Justin's company. By night, I sold drinks at a bar. One night, by a stroke of bad luck, or good, I saw someone trying to drug Justin's drink. A few business partners, thinking he was young and naive, were planning to spike his alcohol to get some leverage over him. I accidentally bumped into him, spilling the drink all over his shirt. After Justin left, those guys turned their anger on me, forcing me to drink. $1,000 a glass. I needed the money. I drank 20. As I reached for the 21st, a hand grabbed my wrist. It was Justin. He'd come back. He scooped me into his arms, his voice ice cold. "I won't forget what happened tonight. Someone from my office will be in touch to cancel your contracts." Through a drunken haze, I grabbed his sleeve. "Wait, they haven't paid me yet." Justin shot them a look, and the men scrambled to pull out their phones and send the money. Hearing the ping of the Venmo notifications, I was so moved I blew them a kiss. "Next time you have a gig like this, call me, okay?" The moment we were outside, he dropped me on the curb. "Are you that desperate for money?" "I am," I said, rubbing my spinning head. "My dad needs surgery. If a few drinks can pay for it, why not? Besides, I can drink anyone under the table." He let out a frustrated laugh, tapping my forehead with his finger. "If I hadn't come back, did you really think you could keep drinking forever? That they would have just let you walk out of there?" I shrank back. I know a little self-defense. I'm the one who wrangles the pig at home for New Year's dinner." Justin was silent for a moment. "How much more do you need?" I held up one finger. 100,000. He leaned against his car and lit a cigarette. In the swirling smoke, his features blurred. Fueled by alcohol, I found him even more attractive than when he was bossing me around at work. 100,000, and you're mine." Justin dropped his cigarette and stubbed it out on the pavement. I froze. "Not enough?" He raised an eyebrow. 200,000. A month. That's your base pay. If you make me happy, I'll add more. $200,000? My heart skipped a beat. For rich guys, sponsoring a girl was as easy as buying a new toy. "You don't want to?" His brow furrowed. "I do." The words tumbled out before I could stop them. Then I hesitated. "But, why me?" Justin didn't answer, just opened the car door for me. I quickly bent down, picked up the cigarette but he'd tossed, threw it in a nearby trash can, and then carefully slid into the car. He seemed a little surprised. When we got to his place, he pushed me down on the couch, his movements urgent. I thought it would be an ordeal, but it was surprisingly intoxicating. Practice makes perfect, after all. Justin was a good teacher, and I was a natural. Before long, I was the one pinning him down. At the office, he promoted me and gave me a raise. He took me everywhere with him. People whispered behind my back, saying I had slept my way to the top. I happily went to ask him about it. "Mr. Hayes, did you offer me that crazy amount of money because you were captivated by my beauty from the start?" I was wearing a silk dress, lounging seductively on his desk. Justin's gaze darkened. "Laura, you can't wear things like that in the office." I glanced down at myself. "But didn't you say, it's easier to rip off?" He choked on his water, the tips of his ears turning bright red as he looked away. "Ahem, get out. Go buy yourself a bubble tea. And stay out of my sight during the day." I hid in the bathroom, sipping my tea and slacking off, happily texting Zoe. "My coworkers are saying I slept my way to the top. They think I'm beautiful." "Zoe, you are. You're the most beautiful." As I was grinning to myself, I heard my coworkers talking outside the stall. "That Laura girl dresses so provocatively every day. She's definitely a kept woman. But doesn't Mr. Hayes have that one girl he could never get over? Why would he be interested in an idiot like her? She's got nothing going for her besides her face and body. The second his old flame comes back, he'll kick her to the curb. I heard that girl jumped into a river for him in the middle of the night, and he almost drowned trying to save her. Maybe Laura's just a replacement. Aren't all billionaire CEOs into that kind of thing?" My mouth slowly fell open. This was some juicy gossip. So Justin already had someone in his heart? Then why was he paying for me? I silently took a sip of my bubble tea, accidentally slurping too loudly. "Who's there?" It went dead silent outside, followed by the sound of footsteps scrambling away. So, I was just a stand-in. To be honest, Justin treated me incredibly well. He was generous and handsome, and he would even cook for me and dry my hair. But the thought of him looking at me while seeing someone else left a dull ache in my chest. Even my bubble tea didn't taste sweet anymore. I took the afternoon off and curled up in my apartment, binge-watching dramas about women who were loved, used, and ultimately abandoned. By the time the pile of used tissues on the floor had grown into a small mountain, Justin was home. He looked surprised, then scooped me onto his lap, gently wiping my swollen eyes with his thumb. "What's wrong? Why are you crying like this?" I sobbed. The main character broke up with his girlfriend and found a replacement who looked just like her. Then he took the replacement on a trip but left her alone in the hotel to go find his ex, and then there was an earthquake. "Oh, God, the second female lead is so pitiful." Justin chuckled. "All this for that? Isn't it sad? It's just a movie." I tilted my tear-streaked face up to his. "If it were you, who would you choose?" His expression darkened. He suddenly pinned my hands above my head on the sofa and left a punishing bite mark on my collarbone. "Laura, I'm not him." But he had an old flame, too. As if to reclaim my attention, he moved inside me with a fierce urgency. Eventually, my own temper flared, and I raked my nails down his back, leaving angry red lines. The topic of his old flame was dropped and never mentioned again. I decided I'd been overthinking things. A girl in my position shouldn't get ideas. That was until last week, when I heard his old flame was finally coming back. And today, Justin had cancelled all his meetings to pick her up from the airport himself. I waited at home for the call telling me it was over, my bags already packed. Coincidentally, my dad had called the day before, urging me to come home and meet a guy he wanted to set me up with, a guy who owned a bakery. "Laura, honey, I just want to see you settled before I go. You love cake, don't you? You could eat it whenever you want." He was right. Being a kept woman had an expiration date. It was time for me to go home. Even if Justin wasn't picking up his old flame, I had already decided to leave. But I waited until midnight, and all I got was a phone call. Laura, Starlight Hotel, room 1008. Bring over some condoms. A sharp pain pierced my chest. He wouldn't even leave me with a shred of dignity. What was I, subhuman? In the hotel hallway, I stood outside room 1008. It was quiet inside. Were they sharing a romantic bath? I raised my hand, then lowered it. I'd seen this movie a million times. When the old flame gets angry, the replacement always suffers. Since we agreed from the start that only he could end things, I had to take matters into my own hands. Before I left, I had poked 10 small holes in that box of ultra-thin 001s. The day his old flame announced her shotgun wedding would be the day I was free. I left the box by the door and fled. Downstairs, I sent Justin a text. Left it at the door. He replied almost immediately, "Thanks. Something came up tonight, I'll be back late." Something came up. Even his excuses were straight out of a TV drama. Miserable about my impending unemployment, I called Zoe and we got wasted. I called in sick the next day. When I stumbled back into the apartment, I was met with Justin's stormy gaze. "Where were you last night?" The alcohol wore off instantly. I mumbled, "Zoe broke up with her boyfriend. I was keeping her company." His expression softened slightly. "Go take a shower. You reek of booze." I did as I was told. The moment I stepped out of the bathroom, he scooped me up and tossed me onto the bed. I was still in a daze as he expertly stripped my clothes off. Wait, did his old flame kick him out last night? I waited for 2 whole months, but Justin never mentioned breaking up. On the phone, my dad kept asking when I was coming home for the blind date. And the legendary old flame was surprisingly quiet, as if she'd vanished off the face of the earth. Why was their reunion taking so long? While I was trying to figure it out, my body started acting strange. The smell of anything greasy made me want to throw up. Fried chicken and fish were completely off limits. I even dry heaved in the office bathroom several times. At first, I thought it was just an upset stomach. But then I realized my period was late, and I frantically bought a pregnancy test. 2 pink lines. My vision went black. How could this be? I had tracked my cycle, and we always used protection. I paced around the room in a panic, a tiny, foolish hope blooming in my heart. Maybe Justin would want this baby. When he came home from work that night, I was trying to figure out how to tell him when he spotted the pregnancy test on the coffee table. My breath caught in my throat. He picked it up and studied it for a moment, his brow furrowed. "You tested positive?" I froze. His warm palm touched my forehead. "Do you have a fever?" Just then, the sound of a child's laughter came from the TV. I seized the opportunity. "Do you like kids?" "Nope," he answered without hesitation. "Haven't you heard of pregnancy brain? You're dumb enough as it is. Imagine what you'd be like after giving birth." All I could hear was the word nope. "If you're that bored, maybe start with a few dogs to practice." I lowered my eyes. "Never mind. I'll sleep in the guest room." "Are you really positive? Did you take any medicine? If you sleep alone, who's going to keep your feet warm?" He leaned in to kiss me, but I quickly turned my head away. I couldn't do this right now. It might hurt the baby. Suddenly, my stomach churned violently. I bolted to the bathroom and threw up until I felt like I was dying. I heard him on the other side of the door. "I'll take you to the hospital for a checkup tomorrow." "No, don't." I steadied myself against the sink. "Don't you have an important contract to sign with a client?" "I can go by myself." He insisted, but I quickly escaped into the guest room and locked the door. Justin told me to open it, but I used the excuse that I was tired and sent him away. The memory faded. Zoe's anxious voice crackled over the phone. So what are you going to do now? I looked down at the lab report. I don't know. Just have to deal with it, I guess. I'll get an abortion. Back at the hospital, the doctor looked at my report with some hesitation. Are you sure you don't want them? Twins are very rare. I clenched my fists. The father passed away. I can't raise them on my own. She sighed and wrote out the order for the procedure. As I walked out of the office, my mind was a blur, and I accidentally bumped into someone. The papers scattered on the floor. I'm so sorry, I stammered. A hand with long, elegant fingers picked up the form before I could. Justin's cold voice came from above me. Laura, what is this? You said you tested positive. You meant you were pregnant? He gritted his teeth. When did I ever say I didn't want it? Another voice, this one tinged with amusement, cut in. Is this the girlfriend who brought me the ultra-thin 001S? I looked up and saw the name tag on the man's white coat. Dr. Bennett, head of urology. Justin's brow furrowed. What ultra-thin 001S? Dr. Bennett raised an eyebrow. You didn't use them? I used Trojans. I lunged to cover his mouth, but he sidestepped me. His gaze fell on me, heavy and dark. When did you give him those? I tried to explain in a small voice. You asked me to bring you an umbrella. I did ask for an umbrella. Justin paused. But... Dr. Bennett chuckled. Your girlfriend brought the other kind of umbrella. I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. Who would have thought that the unforgettable old flame he'd been pining for was a man? Justin pulled me into Dr. Bennett's office and shut the door. What's going on with the baby? I don't know either. I was so upset I could barely form a sentence. We had always been careful. A barely perceptible smile flickered in his eyes before his expression turned serious again. Well, since it happened, we'll have the baby. But you said you don't like kids. I couldn't help but remind him. He was unfazed. I'm not one for killing things. I'm afraid of being reborn as an animal in my next life. Since you went to all this trouble to get pregnant, we'll keep it. I wanted to argue that this was never my intention, but looking at the tiny sacs on the ultrasound, any explanation felt weak. He registered me for another appointment and had the doctor prescribe some prenatal vitamins. Seeing us return, the doctor smiled knowingly. The father came back to life? It's normal for young couples to fight. Twins are a huge blessing. You need to take good care of your wife. Justin stammered, T2? Excuse me? He hadn't understood the ultrasound report. After the doctor confirmed it, he couldn't help but mutter to himself. Damn, I'm good. I narrowed my eyes. What did you say? Justin straightened his face. Nothing. Let's go home. That night, I overheard him on the balcony, his voice low. She still doesn't know. What am I supposed to do? Don't worry, I'll take that secret to my grave. I was wondering what he was hiding when he ended the call and turned around. He jumped. Laura? Why are you up? Why aren't you wearing any shoes? He swept me into his arms, and once we were back in bed, he tucked my cold feet into his warm embrace. Who were you talking to just now? Bennett. He just got back to the States and is still settling in. I was just catching up with him. Justin's answer was smooth and natural. I murmured a skeptical oh. Ever since we found out I was pregnant, our home was covered in soft carpets, and he hired a nanny who specialized in prenatal nutrition. Every time I left the house, someone followed me like a shadow. I secretly texted Zoe. Justin is definitely hiding something from me. Do you think he wants to be with Dr. Bennett but can't have kids, so he's using me as a surrogate? And he'll kick me out after the babies are born? Zoe, no way. The way he looks at you could melt steel. Keep an eye on him. Find some hard evidence. A few days later, while organizing the closet, my hand brushed against a box. Inside was a collection of jewelry I'd never seen before, ornate, lavish pieces that were not my style at all. My heart skipped a beat. I kept digging and found a stash of pearl barrettes, bows, and jeweled clips in a corner. With trembling hands, I took pictures of the evidence and sent them to Zoe. It's over. Justin is gay. These have to be for him. Tears streamed down my face. I have to leave him. But what about the babies? Zoe asked. I instinctively placed a hand on my belly. After all these weeks, I had already grown attached to the two little lives inside me. He's given me enough money. Worst case, I'll raise them myself. Zoe was supportive. But you need more proof. Right now, he could just claim all that stuff was a surprise for you. So, the next day, I managed to shake the nanny and secretly followed Justin out the door. Lately, Justin had been leaving the house at 7 in the morning. But my coworkers said he wasn't even at the office in the mornings. Something was definitely off. I hailed a cab and pointed at his car. Sir, can you follow that car for me? The driver's eyes lit up. Catching a cheater, huh, kid? He was suddenly buzzing with energy. Don't you worry, I'm a pro. We won't lose him. Want me to live stream it? I've got hundreds of thousands of followers. We'll make him go viral. I waved my hands frantically. No. What if it's a misunderstanding? All right. Buckle up. Half an hour later, the car pulled into a high-end gated community. I watched Justin get out and walk through the gates. When I tried to follow, a security guard stopped me. Do you live here? I've never seen you before. An idea struck me. I dabbed at my eyes. I'm the wife of the man who just went in. He's being kept by someone in here, and I'm here to catch him. The guard's eyes gleamed, and he instantly became my ally. Quick, follow me. I trailed him quietly and saw him stop in front of Villa 5. The door opened, and Dr. Bennett appeared in his loungewear. You're here again? Justin's tone was placating. Cut the crap. Is everything ready? Hand him over. Hand him over? Hand what over? The next second, Dr. Bennett emerged with a swaddled bundle, carefully passing it to Justin. Be gentle. My daughter's been a little fussy lately. Justin took the bundle with practiced ease. Where's the bottle? He walked inside, holding the baby. The blood in my veins turned to ice. Justin and Dr. Bennett had a child? From the size of it, the baby couldn't be more than a few weeks old. Through the window, I saw Justin looking down, feeding the baby from a bottle. His movements were gentle, his eyes filled with a tenderness I had never seen before. After feeding, he rocked the baby and patted its back. When Dr. Bennett reached for it, Justin sidestepped him, holding on. Tears blurred my vision. So they already had a child together. Then why did he want me to have his babies? As I walked out of the community, the taxi driver was still waiting for me. He leaned out the window, asking eagerly, Well, kid? Did you catch him? I nodded numbly, then shook my head. I did, he even has a kid with him. The driver slammed his hand on the steering wheel. Men are the worst. Present company excluded, of course. You're still young, kid. Take my advice and leave him. There are plenty of good men out there. Why waste your time on a lost cause? As I got out, he handed me his business card. Next time you need to catch a cheater, call me. I'll bring my followers for backup. I didn't go back to what I once called home. Instead, I called Zoe, and we met up so I could cry my heart out. I thought he wanted the babies because he saw a future with me. Turns out, he just wants the kids, not the mom. Zoe slammed her fist on the table. These rich guys are all heartless bastards. When I had no more tears left, I wiped my eyes. I'm leaving him. Where will you go? Home. My dad's not well. It's a good time to go back and take care of him. Justin had put me on long-term leave from the company ever since we found out I was pregnant. I wrote my resignation letter and scheduled it to be sent while he was at work. Then, with just a few changes of clothes and some jewelry, I left. My dad was overjoyed to see me, immediately busying himself with cooking chicken and duck. But the smell of greasy food made my stomach churn. I thought I'd escaped morning sickness, but it hit me with a vengeance in the new environment. My dad panicked and wanted to take me to the hospital, but I stopped him. "Dad, it's not food poisoning, I'm pregnant." His eyes went wide. "Laura, I wanted you to settle down, but isn't this a little fast? Where's the baby's father? Why didn't he come back with you?" I lowered my head, wiping away tears. "He was in a car accident, he's gone." My dad fumbled to dry my tears. Don't cry, don't cry. What about his family?" I gritted my teeth. "They're all gone." With red-rimmed eyes, my dad pulled me into a hug. "It's okay. Dad's here. We can raise this baby together, just the two of us." I leaned against his shoulder, the tears flowing freely. After my first prenatal checkup, my dad got out his reading glasses and spent his days learning how to cook pregnancy-friendly meals from his phone. The first thing I did when I got home was block Justin on everything. Zoe told me he was frantically searching for me, even offering a $5 million reward for any information on my whereabouts. "Do you think I'm the kind of person who would sell out her best friend for money?" she declared indignantly over the phone. I only considered it for, 10 seconds. Then I told him off and sent him packing. Late one night, an unknown number called me relentlessly. The moment I picked up, I heard Justin's hoarse voice. "Laura. Where the hell are you?" In the background, I could faintly hear Dr. Bennett trying to calm him down. "Stop drinking." Was he really calling me in front of his new partner? I took a deep breath. It was just a business arrangement, wasn't it? He scoffed. Business? What kind of boss bathes his employee, cooks for her, and dresses her himself? I practically kneeled to tie your shoes. When you had cramps and couldn't sleep, who rubbed your stomach until morning and then got up to make you ginger tea? When you craved durian, even though I think it smells like literal garbage, didn't I sit there and eat it with you? And now you just leave? Was I just a free sample to you? "That's all in the past," I said softly. "The past? I'm not past it. You get back here right now." Just as I was about to hang up, he stopped me. "Wait. The baby, how's the baby?" Of course. That's all he cared about. I closed my eyes. I got rid of it. On the other end of the line, I heard a loud crash, followed by Dr. Bennett's furious shout. "Justin. That was my brand new phone you just smashed." My morning sickness finally subsided in the 4th month. One day, while tidying up, I clicked on a live stream of Justin's new product launch. He was seated next to the brand spokesperson, the famous actress Ava Vance. A reporter joked, "We hear Mr. Hayes is still single. I wonder if Miss Vance is your ideal type." Ava blushed. "Oh, I could never be worthy of Mr. Hayes. But he is certainly my ideal type." Justin responded without a change in expression. "Good that you know that." The atmosphere in the room turned a little awkward. Not long after, a scandalous video went viral. The harsh realities of marrying rich. Ava Vance allegedly forced to give up her child. The video showed Justin striding into a hospital, followed moments later by a discreet Ava, whose sharp-eyed fans recognized was on the obstetrics and gynecology floor. A bitter taste filled my mouth. So, the second I got rid of my baby, he found someone else to carry his? Then, Ava posted a cryptic message on X. "I'm okay." The comments section exploded, with fans rushing to her defense. "Does being rich give you the right to play with people's feelings?" Ava said before she wanted to be Dink. Now she's willing to have a baby for him. If that's not true love, what is? Justin Hayes has to be held accountable. Amidst the flood of angry comments, one was pushed to the top. maybe it's a misunderstanding? At the auction last month, Mr. Hayes bought a vintage ring for $50 million. Rumor is, it's for his proposal. The post was accompanied by a picture of a gemstone ring. My breath hitched. It was the same ring Justin had casually given me, telling me to wear it for fun. I had only taken it off and put it in a drawer because I was worried about my fingers swelling during pregnancy. With trembling hands, I found the ring and compared it to the photo. It was a perfect match. So, the ring he had dismissed as a little trinket was really worth $50 million? The scandal blew up as quickly as it died down. Justin didn't even let the story trend overnight before he went live to clear the air. Ava Vance? Who? Never met her. Whether she's seeing an OB/GYN or a neurologist has nothing to do with me. I was at the hospital to see my friend. Is there a problem with that? And yes, I am unmarried, but I have a fiancé. So what? Right now, I've made her angry. Can you all help me convince her to come back? The moment the live stream ended, a message from Zoe popped up. Laura. The fiancé he's talking about couldn't be you, right? Sure enough, the entire internet immediately launched a campaign to find Mr. Hayes' fiancé. I stared at the endless notifications on my phone, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. But how does he explain the baby he has with Dr. Bennett? Zoe, ugh. I almost fell for that jerk's act. Putting on a show for the whole world. As I was stewing in my frustration, my dad walked in, helping a simply dressed woman. Laura, come give me a hand. This is Susan. She sprained her ankle and fell right outside our door. I pulled my dad aside. You don't think she's faking it to get money, do you? I doubt it. What do we have that's worth scamming? Just then, Susan let out a soft groan. Oh, the pain, I've had such a hard life. I worked my fingers to the bone to raise my son, only for him to kick me out of the house. My dad added in a low voice, she ate the bread I just bought for you in a few bites. Said she's been homeless for 3 days. Seeing the woman's red-rimmed eyes, my heart softened. Poor thing. While I was still debating whether to call the police, Susan's gaze landed on my growing belly, and her eyes lit up. Oh, my. Are you expecting, dear? I was a maternity nurse for 10 years. I have plenty of experience. She eagerly took my hand. Why don't you let me stay and help? I don't need any pay, just a place to stay and food to eat. My dad had been worried about not taking proper care of me, and at her words, he made an instant decision. Oh no, we couldn't do that. We have to pay you what you're worth. $10,000 a month. I've already set aside a fund for Laura's baby. And so, Susan moved in. She was, indeed, a professional. She cooked different nutritious meals for me every day, asked more detailed questions than I did at my prenatal appointments, and even turned on the light for me in advance when I had to get up in the middle of the night. But as time went on, I started to feel like something wasn't quite right. As my belly grew more prominent, the neighborhood gossip started. A few busybodies whispered behind my back that I had been used and dumped, calling my baby a bastard. My dad's blood pressure shot up with anger, but Susan grabbed a kitchen knife and stormed out the door. She marched right up to their doors, slammed the knife into the wood twice, and planted her hands on her hips. Can't stand to see someone else happy, can you? If you've got something to say it to my face. Our Laura has done nothing wrong. The baby's father is out there making big money. When he comes back, we'll see if you're not on your knees apologizing. Brenda. Your son is a stripper down at the Viper Room, how come you never talk about that? And you, Mrs. Miller. Your grandson looks a lot more like the mailman than your son. Did you ever get those paternity test results back? Why don't you post them online for everyone to see? She got more and more worked up, and the once arrogant neighbors all retreated into their homes. After her tirade, the entire building fell silent, every door and window shut tight. Susan returned victorious. My dad watched, dumbfounded, a look of pure admiration in his eyes. Late that night, I got up to use the bathroom and saw the kitchen light was still on. Susan was on the phone, her voice hushed. I took care of those gossips. You can't even look after your own wife, and you have the nerve to ask me to help you win her back? Serves you right that you can't get her back. If a single hair on my daughter-in-law or my grandchildren's heads is harmed, I'll skin you alive when I get back. You useless thing. Think long and hard about what you did wrong. Oh, and by the way, Laura wants congee with pork and preserved egg for breakfast tomorrow. I want shrimp dumplings, and bring some steamed cakes from Tang's. Figure out what your father-in-law wants yourself. Daughter-in-law? Who was she talking about? Me? The second she hung up, she turned and saw me. She let out a yelp, nearly dropping her phone in the sink. Oh, Laura. What are you doing up? I kept my voice even. Just getting some water. Susan, did you make up with your son? Her face stiffened. That ungrateful brat. Why would we talk about him? She guiltily shooed me back to bed. I secretly set an alarm for 5 a.m. Just as the sky began to lighten, I heard Susan tiptoeing to the door. Peeking through the crack, I saw her taking a delivery bag, whispering, "What took you so long?" A familiar voice answered from outside. "Mom, how are Laura and the baby? Is she still mad at me? Now you're worried? You should go before she sees you." I gently closed the door and moved to the window. Down below, the familiar Maybach had been parked for who knows how long. A figure emerged from the stairwell, his silhouette sharp in the morning light. My breath caught. It was Justin. So Susan was his mother? And all the food I had been eating, he had been the one bringing it? Justin suddenly stopped and looked up at my window. I quickly ducked behind the curtain. The car remained for a long time before slowly driving away. At 7 o'clock sharp, I sat down at the table, looked at the bowl of congee, and said casually, "Susan, I'm suddenly craving those little wontons you made the other day. Could you make some for me now?" Susan froze. "Oh, but we're out of wonton wrappers." I turned to my dad. "Dad, aren't you going to the park for your morning exercise? Could you pick some up on your way back?" Then I smiled at Susan. "You can start on the filling." "I'd love to learn how." Beads of sweat formed on her forehead as she stammered her agreement. I gently stroked my belly. "The babies are saying they really want to eat the wontons you make with your own hands." At that, Susan's eyes lit up with determination. "I'll get right on it." The kitchen suddenly became a whirlwind of activity. Bits of minced pork flew everywhere as she chopped. She held the salt and sugar shakers, comparing them, while secretly glancing at her phone for a recipe and muttering to herself. "Which one is salt and which is sugar? Oh well, I'll just taste it." She then scooped up a spoonful and put it in her mouth. Tooey. So salty. I stood hidden by the doorway, stunned. She couldn't even tell salt from sugar? Then what about all the meals she'd been making? And the knowing glances at the hospital? A suspicion began to form in my mind. I stood up, trying to act natural. "Susan, I'm just going downstairs to buy some fruit." Without even wiping her hands, she rushed after me. "Laura, what do you want?" "I'll go get it. It's just the fruit stand downstairs. I'll be right back." I pointed to the kitchen. "You'll need to show off your skills once my dad gets back with the wrappers." She hesitated for a moment, then finally nodded. "All right, be careful." I grabbed my keys and left, feeling like someone was following me, but every time I turned around, there was no one there. To test my sixth sense, I pretended to trip, lurching sideways. I heard a sharp intake of breath from the shadows. A delivery guy rushed over to steady me. "Are you okay?" It wasn't him. Suppressing my disappointment, I said, "I'm fine, thank you." The guy asked eagerly, "Where are you headed?" "I can give you a ride." I pointed across the street. "Thanks, but I'm just going over there to buy some fruit." He glanced behind him uncertainly. Okay, be careful then. Across the street, the fruit stand owner was unusually enthusiastic. Everything's half off. Take your pick. I smiled. Did you win the lottery, sir? He scratched his head and laughed awkwardly. It's my wife's birthday today. I'm just happy. That was a strange way to celebrate. As I was picking out apples, one slipped from my grasp and rolled onto the ground. Before I could bend down to get it, it rolled right back to my feet on its own. I stared. Had the apple come to life? But there was no one there. As I was crossing the street on my way back, a car suddenly ran a red light and sped toward me. Amidst the screams, a strong arm pulled me into a protective embrace. It was a person in a bear costume. The driver stuck his head out and started cursing, as passers-by quickly surrounded him. You ran a red light and you think you're in the right? Didn't you see the pregnant woman? If you're not going to use your eyes, you should donate them. The person in the costume awkwardly gestured in sign language, asking if I was okay. I stared straight at the bare head. I'm fine. He nodded and slowly retreated into the crowd. Just then, a police patrol car arrived, and the driver reluctantly got out to deal with the officers. When I looked again, the bear was gone. When I got home, Susan was sitting on the sofa with a bandaged finger, while my dad was in the kitchen wrapping wontons. Susan, what happened? I just cut my hand by accident, she said with a weak smile. Looks like no wontons today. That's okay, we can order takeout. How about the steamed cakes from Tang's? I hear they're amazing. Susan's expression froze, her eyes darting around. Tang's? I've never heard of it. If you want to try it, Laura, I can look for it another day. I sighed. Susan, how long are you going to keep this up? You're Justin's mother, aren't you? My dad came out of the kitchen. Who's Justin? Susan quickly grabbed my hand. Laura, I admit I lied to you. But you can't blame me for my son's stupid mistakes, can you? It's not fair to punish me too. My dad's face darkened. So Justin is the baby's father? I thought he died in a car crash. I lowered my head. Dad, I'm sorry. Justin and we broke up. Susan. My dad's voice rose in anger. I took you in, and you were planning to steal my grandchildren all along? You've got it all wrong. Susan waved her hands frantically. I came here to join Laura's side. His last name is Hayes, mine is Chen. We haven't been on the same team for a long time. My dad's mouth twitched. Then what exactly did your son do? Susan threw her hands up in confusion. I don't know. He never told me. They both looked at me. I struggled to get the words out. He was planning to use me as a surrogate, to have my children and raise them with Dr. Bennett as their fathers. I then told them everything I had seen. Susan was flabbergasted. My son is gay? When did this happen? How did I not know? I heard Dr. Bennett once jumped into a river for Justin, and Justin risked his life to save him. Jumped in a river? She slapped her thigh. Oh, I remember now. That wasn't some dramatic declaration of love. They were out fishing in the middle of the night, and a huge fish pulled Bennett into the river. Justin, who can't swim a stroke, jumped in after him. They both almost drowned and had to be pulled out by other fishermen. My dad and I exchanged a look. But Dr. Bennett has a daughter. He just got back to the country, where would he get a daughter? His mom was just trying to set him up on dates last week. Susan grew more animated. Besides, my son is definitely straight. When he was a kid, he called himself Superman and jumped off the roof, breaking his leg. In the hospital, he hobbled around on his crutches every day to give candy to the little girl in the next room. My heart skipped a beat. That story sounded familiar. When I was little, I fell off my bike and broke my arm. While I was in the hospital, there was a little boy with a limp who brought me candy every day. The candy was really good, so I reluctantly agreed to be his friend for a few days. Could it be that little boy was Justin? After I was discharged, I asked my dad to buy me the same candy, but we could never find it. We later found out it was a limited edition only sold overseas. Susan declared, "All right, I'm going back to get to the bottom of this. If he really is gay, all of the Hayes family assets will go to my grandchildren. I'll disown him. If he dares to have secret children with someone else, I'll break his third leg." Before she could finish, her phone, which was on the table, rang. It was Justin. Susan answered, fuming. "Hello? Mom, is Laura home? Is she okay? Who's your mom? Don't call me that. As of today, we are no longer related." She hung up. Then she turned to me with a sycophantic smile. "Don't worry. I'm always on my daughter-in-law's side." In the end, we all decided to go back together to find out the truth. When Zoe heard we were going to confront him, she took the day off and showed up with a baseball bat. Susan swallowed hard. Go easy on him. Leave him breathing. The company still needs him to make money for us." Zoe puffed out her chest. "You can count on me." She handed each of us a black face mask. We snuck over to Dr. Bennett's place. The security guard recognized me and waved us through excitedly. "Back to catch the cheater? Come on in." Before we even reached the villa, we heard Dr. Bennett's frantic calls. "Jojo. Where did you go?" He was looking around, holding a baby bottle. When he saw Justin walking slowly toward him, he looked like he'd seen a savior. "Help me find Jojo." Justin ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "I'm dealing with my own problems. My mom just told me she's disowning me. I have to go find my wife right now. I don't have time for your drama." The three of us hid in the bushes, watching. Zoe muttered, "See? His daughter is missing and he doesn't even care. What a scumbag." Susan was seething. How dare he do something so shameless? "Give me the bat." I had a feeling something wasn't right. The last time I saw the baby, it was in a swaddling blanket. How could it run off on its own now? Before I could stop her, Susan had charged out with the baseball bat and swung it at Justin's leg. "Justin. Is this how I raised you? Not only are you cheating, but you're tricking girls into having your babies. If your father knew you were such a disgrace, he'd crawl out of his grave to strangle you. Today, I'm cleaning house. Then I'll find a new son-in-law and start over." Justin hopped around, dodging her blows. "Mom? What are you doing here? Ouch. Stop hitting me." Zoe watched, thrilled. "Go, Susan. That's a mother-in-law you can count on. Laura, you can dump the boyfriend, but you have to keep the mom." Justin dodged around Dr. Bennett, who ended up getting hit a few times himself. Just then, a faint meow came from a tree branch above. Dr. Bennett's head shot up. "Jojo." We all looked up. There, perched on a branch, was a very round, very fluffy orange cat. Zoe nudged me. "Are you sure you saw a baby in that blanket?" I said, I didn't get a clear look. But why use a blanket if it wasn't a baby? What kind of weirdo does that? I rushed out to stop Susan. "Susan, stop. It might be a misunderstanding." Justin hopped over to me on one foot, his eyes shining. "Laura. You're finally willing to see me?" I took a step back. "Do you and Dr. Bennett have a child together?" He looked disgusted. How could I possibly have a child with him? Susan, still holding the bat, demanded, "Then why are you over here every day holding his baby?" Dr. Bennett pointed frantically at the orange cat in the tree. "That's my daughter. I raised her from a bottle. Jojo's mother abandoned her when she was born, so I fed her myself every day. Justin was the one who insisted on wrapping her in a blanket. He said he was practicing how to hold and feed a baby." The truth was out. The scene fell silent. Susan dropped the baseball bat with a clatter. "I didn't bring this bat. I found it on the street. Zoe cleared her throat, then deftly climbed the tree and brought the chubby orange cat down. Here you go. Dr. Bennett's eyes lit up, his gaze fixed on Zoe. My hero, what's your name? Zoe coughed. Just doing my good deed for the day. No need for names. Realization dawned on Justin's face, and he hopped back over to me. Laura, is this why you left me? Suddenly, I remembered the other evidence. What about the jewelry and the butterfly clips in your closet? I bought those for our future daughter. I was at a loss for words. So, this whole time, it was all a huge misunderstanding? But you said you didn't like kids. Justin swore to the heavens. How could I not like kids? I even have the nursery all set up. If I hadn't poked holes in those, how would you have gotten pregnant with our babies? Wait a minute. What did he just say? Justin clapped a hand over his mouth, his eyes wide with panic. Laura, let me explain, I was just so scared you were going to leave me. Susan sighed and shook her head. Better at messing things up than fixing them. With your emotional intelligence, you deserve to lose your wife. A short distance away, Dr. Bennett was trailing after Zoe. Hero, can I at least get your number? After the misunderstanding was cleared up, Justin tentatively took my hand. Laura, can we go home now? I shook my head. My dad is still waiting for me at home. Before Justin could say anything, Susan rushed over and smacked him on the head. Go home to what? Have you prepared the dowry? Have you booked the wedding photos? These days, everyone's into keeping the kid and ditching the dad. You think you can get a wife for free? Dream on. Justin rubbed his head and whined. Mom, are you sure I'm your biological son? Susan elegantly linked her arm with mine. Didn't I make it clear on the phone? I'm Laura's mom now. He obediently drove me home, and of course, Susan stayed to take care of me. After learning the truth, my dad's gaze toward Justin finally warmed up a little. Since my baby bump was already quite large, we decided to wait until after the birth to plan the wedding properly. Every day after work, the first thing Justin did was press his ear to my belly and talk to the babies. He was so anxious that he actually started having sympathy morning sickness. Susan laughed at him every day. Should I book a postpartum care package for you too? At 37 weeks, a healthy pair of boy-girl twins arrived. Justin looked at the babies in their cribs, tears streaming down his face. Honey, thank you, this is the best gift ever. Time flew by, and the kids were soon 3 years old. Justin and I had gotten our marriage license long ago, but we still hadn't had a wedding. In fact, Zoe and Dr. Bennett had lapped us, and their son was already old enough to run errands. One day, looking at the Bennett's wedding photos, Justin grumbled, even that knucklehead Bennett had a wedding before me. My heart softened, and we finally set a date. On the day of the wedding, our kids, Sophie and Leo, served as the flower girl and ring bearer in their little formal outfits. When it was time for the rings, Justin looked at his daughter with anticipation. But the little girl's eyes darted around, and she shoved the box into her brother's hands. You go, little brother. Mommy and Daddy will give you kisses. Leo obediently carried the box forward. Justin opened it excitedly, then froze. Inside the box sat a large, plastic beetle. Leo. Where are the rings? Justin's blood pressure skyrocketed. Leo pointed at his sister with a small hand. Ask sister. I don't know. Seeing she was caught, Sophie reluctantly pulled the rings out of the Bennett son's pocket. Noah, this one isn't pretty. When I grow up, I'm going to marry you with a much bigger ring. The entire crowd of guests burst into laughter. Justin.